Alrighty, how is it going? Do I have a treat for you today? We are learning to do something really special. I really can't believe that I'm going to be sharing this information with the public. I I shouldn't I shouldn't even be doing this. I'm sure that the government is going to be having a good look at this video. The CIA agent attached to my assigned to my Google searches, I'm sure, is really curious about what I'm working on over here. As you can tell from the video, from the title of this video, today we're going to be learning how to talk to aliens. Man, I'm really excited to talk about this topic. And basically, we're going to kind of dive a little bit into the world of light language. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to talk about this topic. I Yeah, this was something that caught my eye from pretty early on in my journeys into the new age community. Yeah, speaking in light language is something that really, yeah, was super interesting. I was introduced to it. I think the first time I was introduced to it was when I did my energy healing class that I took. I talked about that last week. I believe that the instructor, one of her titles is like she's a galactic activator, which, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but a lot like, galactic, like activation, you can kind of understand, like waking up your inner, I don't know, alien or whatever. So yeah, I think in one of the meditations she was doing, spoke light language in it. So, and that was like, I was like, what is that? I was like, that's kind of odd. Like, what's going on with this whole light language thing? Um, at the time, I was very, very into like alien stuff, deep into kind of like supernatural stuff in general, but aliens specifically. Like, pretty much anything. Yeah, it was like a lot of the supernatural stuff in the world. I kind of was like, not all of it, but a lot of it I would have attributed to like alien activity. Um, right now this is my current, let me just make my current position like very clear. So, uh, there definitely are UFOs. Like that's a real thing that's going on. There's like, I'm pretty sure the government has made it pretty clear that like there are unidentified objects that fly around. Um, However, like I don't think anyone else has gotten information that like there are beings in them. Right. Just because there are crafts doesn't mean that there are things inside of them also. Like, I don't know. There are a lot of assumptions that are made. Anyway, so I don't know is my official opinion. um, but uh, I think that the concept of light language is very interesting. There are a lot of ways that this could actually be used for your benefit. So I think that some of the tools that are taught here are really important or can be important if you're kind of like someone who's interested in like developing yourself spiritually. If you're not interested in that, you might not care about this kind of stuff. But yeah, all right. So we're going to be talking about light language. We're going to be talking about speaking. Also, we're going to be talking about speaking in tongues. We're going to be talking about the science of all of this stuff. It's exciting. All right. Like I said, I didn't say this before, but I don't want to do anything like, I'm not trying to debunk anything. I'm just trying to kind of present all of the information. Okay. So, first off, um, we're going to talk about some I guess just plain old definitions, but I promise you by the end of this video you will have all the information you need to be able to talk to aliens. So let's get into it. So light what exactly is light language? Okay, so light language is a cosmically channeled language. It's something that when it's spoken, it's not the words aren't necessarily able to be understood. Um, at the same time, the person who is doing the speaking can understand what's coming out of their mouths sometimes. I think it depends on the person. So it's not only sounds and words that are used, it's also hand movements, gestures, kind of like singing. Also, I have seen used. Um, Writing also has also been another one that I've seen. This isn't something that is isolated to a special kind of person. In the way that I understand it, anybody can learn how to speak to aliens. Everybody can learn light language. Is really more about your feelings, like how you feel when you're kind of speaking the language, rather than understanding everything about the process or everything about the situation. Um, there are also some other types of claims that I heard when I was kind of doing some research. Some people talked about the ability of doing like speaking light language activates your DNA. And activating your DNA is also a phrase that I hear very often used in New Age circles. Um, there's a lot about kind of like uh, different strands of DNA that are potentially added depending on like what strain of New Age beliefs you have. So a lot of people say that speaking these languages can help activate that DNA, kind of like, kind of raise your vibration, all of that general thing. Light language is going to help you do this. Basically, this is another word, or light language. Speaking light language is another word for channeling. You're basically doing some form of channeling. Apparently, you can not only channel light language from beings from outer space or beings from other kind of planets. You can also channel your higher self or other beings, right? We know channels are pretty popular. Abraham Hicks is probably the most popular channel that I know of personally. Um, I feel like I see a lot of her stuff on YouTube. So yeah, if you know of any other channelers, drop them in the comments. I'm curious if you know of any others. This is something that there are a lot of other different opinions. It seems like every time I watched another video, someone had a different a different particular opinion about their brand of light language. So some people think that it's not necessarily something that you're not necessarily learning a new language. You're really just remembering. You're remembering things. It's like a language that your soul knows, right? And when you're speaking this, it's not really about thinking. Like I said before, it's not about thinking, it's about feeling. So you want to do the opposite of thinking and just kind of more allowing. This is a very intuitive type of process. You're really trying to open up your heart. So I want to show you a little bit of what this looks like. Let's see. We're just going to kind of like, we're going to just pick oh, I know exactly who I'm going to show you. Okay, we're going to show you one of, we're going to show you this person. Her name is Kua Healing. Like I said, I'm very excited to share this stuff with you. You might think it's interesting. You might think it's a little bit silly. I'm curious about what your opinions are, but let's get into it. All right. Sorry, I didn't click on this thing yet. I also let me do this first. Actually, hopefully this doesn't take too long to load. But when you research light language, there's tons of things. Does it say how many results show up? No. Look, it's me. That's my video. But yeah, you can find a lot of video. Okay, of course they all went away. Hold on. Okay, so how like bunch of different light language related videos. I wish that it showed how many results showed up here, but here, let me go back to Kua's video. Hopefully I can find it again. Let me just look it up. Hold on. I just think this person is very interesting in their style of light language. And the other thing that's important to show is that light language has the ability to heal. Like it's not just something that you speak, it has abilities. So this is almost a continuation of last week's energy healing video because light language is technically another form of energy healing. So you can see here, instant pain relief, heal your mother wound, complete chakra rebalancing, release. We have trauma healing, y'all. And so you can see some visuals, the body movements that are involved. So you can see how it all in all of them, different different body movements that are going on, right? Um, you can see all these different kinds. And this person is pretty big on TikTok, I believe. I believe like hundreds of, thousands of subscribers or followers. Let's work on our trauma.
And emotions that you are carrying with you. This is going to be a light language activation, which is a form of energy healing and communication. While listening to this activation and healing, you might need to experience an emotional release or physical release. Please allow yourself to feel anything that comes up, as feeling is healing. Let me know how you feel at the end of this video. Enjoy.
What do you think? You feel it? You feel the energy? See, isn't that interesting? So I wanted to pause because I want to talk about like my physical reaction as I listen to that because I have a reaction to like these sounds. I don't know. I think that it's probably just because I can be sensitive to sounds. And like just I think everybody knows what it's like to feel the music. You know what I mean? So when there's different types of notes, I can like feel them in my body, right? So like you get that tingle, right? And everybody's like, wow, I can feel it. I can feel the energy, right? It's like it's so easy to just kind of fall into the trap of being like, this is definitely a completely legitimate form of like an actual language that you're speaking. This is like I guess I'm making I'm making it clear that I'm very skeptical of this type of stuff. I'm skeptical of whether this language is actually a language from other beings. I'm skeptical of whether this language is actually something that can be understood or translated. I'm skeptical about the efficacy. Are you actually releasing trauma, right, about these claims? Um, Typically when I have issues is I have issues with grandiose claims, right? These are very grandiose claims. You're not light language in the way that people are describing it. You're saying that there are immaterial beings that exist, right? That's the first claim, and that we can communicate with those immaterial beings. We don't know any of that stuff. I just want everyone that's pretty much my big thing. Don't say things that you don't know, you don't understand. Don't claim to know things that you don't actually know. Unless that's your prerogative. Right? I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to do any of that. But we're going to continue. I think that there are um, a lot of ways that I'm sorry. I started playing this other video. It's just so ridiculous. It really is just so ridiculous. I'm going to share this tab. We're gonna watch another light language example.
Oh, there we go. Clear.
Can I make it bigger?
Yeah.
I don't know how to like make this a bigger
clear.
size.
Clear. Removing. Whoosh, ice. Aratication it the quirification it the quality. Ooh. Yes, there's a lot on your shoulder. Yes, clear.
Okay, like I I really, I guess, like I want to be sensitive to like people's personal practices, and I don't necessarily like want to become like a cringe reaction channel, but like I I hope that I'm not being like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what I'm saying here. It's like I can almost take this seriously until you start burping and calling it light language. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. And so you can see that she had that version. That one was more of a version of, language, words, like letters, I guess you would say, more sounds. And let's watch this other one. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Right? So I hope that you see what I mean when I say anybody can do this. anybody can do this. One of the things that I really do believe deep down in my heart is the ability to kind of access a part of you that is free enough to kind of to have that much like playfulness and openness. Like I would say that this is like very like playful stuff, um a lot of spiritual practice can be very creative and playful in that way. And so I do honestly admire that in all of these people who are speaking light language. I really do honestly admire um the ways that they do these things. I also, let me just show you one more. Some of these, like I said, I think that they're just, they amuse me, and I had to share them with someone. I had to tell somebody about this. You know what I'm saying? I can't do lots of words in this one, guys. Are you ready? Like she is not kidding around. Like dead she is dead serious. You know what I mean? Like this is amazing. Like this stuff is amazing. I could watch this for forever. Just it's amazing. Like I said, it's incredible. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Mav Magic. Shameless plug. I talk there sometimes whenever I feel like it. All right, so that's that. Like this stuff, like I said, can't make this stuff up. All right, so what is happening? What is actually happening on a scientific level? I want y'all to have tools so you can have an actual understanding of what's going on. So basically, when we're just going to take a quick glance at this article from the New York Times. Shares a little bit about speaking. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh goodness gracious! I've reached my limit of that sucks. I've reached my limit of free articles. That's so annoying. I only read that like once, but whatever. So you know what? I'm smart. I wrote down a summary. So basically, when a person prays or speaks in their native language, what happens is like the language centers that are located in your frontal lobe will be activated. So your brain kind of knows that you're speaking a language, basically. But when you are speaking in tongues, when you're speaking light language, there are lots of other forms of this just kind of organic babbling. I would kind of call it. Um, the frontal lobe stays quiet, and um, so the person who's doing the speaking is no longer relying on their language, on the language centers of their brain to kind of produce the information. Basically, like your mouth is receiving information from different parts of your brain than the language centers. So like the idea of like you feeling controlled or compelled by like another thing, it makes sense because of this. I hope that this makes sense. I'm still very early in my, I guess, reading and understanding of these concepts. So I'm doing my best to kind of explain these terms in clear language, but I'm a beginner and I'm not an expert. So I'm just going to make that, like I said, make it clear. So like I said, light language is essentially speaking in tongues, just another version of this. This is a strange phenomena. Like this is part of what you know anomalistic psychology would be kind of a part of this. Like why do people do this? Um, it seems odd, but it is a human behavior. This is something that's been likely going on since probably the very beginning of time. People speaking in tongues like is a really important piece of like human is a really important piece of human history. And as we've evolved as humans, like we learn how to do these interesting things, and like some of the stuff we just can't let go of. All right, so the scientific term for speaking in tongues is called glossolalia. It is basically, the definition is it's a phenomenon of apparently speaking in an unknown language, especially during times of worship. Um, Obviously, it's very famously practiced in evangelical and Pentecostal environments, but as we know, that's not the only place where it shows up. So let's take a look at some of the other examples of this. Like I said, it doesn't only come up in evangelical, Pentecostal types of things. It's not just a Christian thing, and I think that's where people can get a little bit confused and lost. It's something that, like I said, it can be spread around several different types of spiritual practice. All right, so let's take a look at Terence McKenna, who is, I forget, I don't really know his title exactly, but he's like a real kind of semi-famous spiritual guy. He did a lot of drugs and was famous for, not famous for doing drugs, but um, knew a lot about psychedelics and their impact on kind of like spiritual practice and so on. So let's just kind of take a listen.
The DMT thing is that it seems to be a catalyst for glossolalia. This is why I think it must have had something to do with the evolution of language. I mean, when you take psilocybin, you can fall spontaneously into states of glossolalia. Sometimes on DMT, it's almost impossible to control. It just spontaneously comes out. Yeah. Oh, what is glossolalia? Glossolalia, well, here's an example of it, then I'll define it. It's language-like
You hear
activity in
that?
the absence of meaning. And it's a very interesting thing neurologically, because notice that speech, ordinary speech, is this highly variable stream of data. We are set up to make these small mouth noises. As a public speaker, I'm very aware of the fact that one can speak without tiring almost longer than you can do any other major human motor activity. And
super interesting.
But the glossolalia, such as I just did, it is clearly under the control of rules, but it is not, there is no meaning conventionally conceived of there, but there is syntax. And I think probably that language was invented millennia before meaning, and that you could almost call language toneless singing, and that people used to sit around the campfire and amuse each other by making funny noises. As a kid, I used to do this. And then it was only much, much later that anything approaching linguistic conventionality was imposed on this, and that that's a lower function. The other thing I want to say about this glossolalia thing is...
So like, that's the other thing, I guess, is really important to understand that like, this type of speaking served an evolutionary function. This isn't just this isn't useless stuff. Like for people who are, I guess, more skeptical to say the speaking in tongues stuff, like this is all ridiculous. I can understand why people would go in that direction, but I would like to offer that there has to be value in these practices. Not that there has to, but there can be value found in these practices of glossolalia. So people put these types of DMT psilocybin experiences on a pretty high platform. And a lot of people would claim that, you know, if an experience is happening on DMT or something, it's a very highly spiritual event. So there may be, you know, something to it. And I think like maybe towards the end, I'll talk a little bit of kind of how I think that we can actually practically use some of these benefits. But let's finish up this video and see what else Terrence has to say.
You may say, well, you're just making it up when I do that. But really, the experience I have when I do it is that I stand aside, then this variable data stream comes out through my mouth. Well, now, it has to reflect something about me. It's a statement about my internal situation in that moment. And it's evolving and changing as rapidly as if I were saying, you know, I had a migraine headache last night and I got up about 4 and took an aspirin and, you know, I'm telling you about my situation. But the glossolalia must be speaking to something about my situation, or it wouldn't be possible to do it at all.
Wow. See, like, I think that there's a way to have, okay, I don't know how to stop. Yeah, there's a way to have these really, really profound, or I guess there's a way to connect to these really profound experiences through mumbling. And during my, I guess, studies of meditation, I did a little bit, teeny bit of research, maybe like a couple, like 1 or 2 videos about like mumble meditations, basically just mumbling as a form of meditation, babbling. You know, it's very interesting stuff. It's not pointless. And actually, yeah, I'll share a little bit of my opinion on it now, and then I'll talk about some more of the dangers, I guess. So I think that speaking in tongues, light language, talking to aliens, glossolalia, all of this stuff can be valuable because, like I mentioned earlier, it touches on this playful aspect of life. And the way Terrence put it, like, you know, it speaks to a part of us that actually exists. Like, I'm currently like I'm an abstract artist, I would say. So I do a lot of geometric shapes and random things like that. And it's like, these things look random, and they are random, but they come from a place within me, and they mean something, like from the mere fact that it's something that I'm creating. So for me to say that glossolalia, speaking in tongues, has no function would almost from my perspective in this moment right now, it would also feel similar to say that like there's no purpose in abstract art that is, you know, that people would say is meaningless. You know what I'm saying? Like what if we took the perspective of speaking in tongues as a way of kind of like some art form of expression that apparently is seen by the gods as positive, right? Yeah. So the fact, I don't have a lot of experience. It's not really something that I have practiced in the past or am interested in doing a lot of practice around. But I think that trying to see what happens with different types of spiritual experiences. And I remembered Someone asked, I think last week, about altered states of consciousness, and this is a way to access altered states of consciousness. It's important to pay attention to this stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I was going to talk about some more of the dangers. So, and there's a reason why I use the word, like, why I think some of this stuff can be dangerous, is because light language and speaking in tongues, these are very, like, they can be seen as like very cool things to do. And when that happens, there's a lot of it, potential to kind of just rope people in, and to have people who are really interested just be like, oh wow, I want to do that too. And that means that people can be pulled into these spiritual beliefs when they're not actually, like, accurate. I don't think that we should go around, like, preaching that speaking in tongues is like a legitimate, like, that people are actually speaking the language of angels, that people are actually talking to aliens. That's not what's happening. This is a human thing that we're choosing to, we're choosing to decide where this babbling goes to, right? So one of the things is, like, when you have a practice that's kind of universal through a lot of spiritual practices, it's kind of, for me, it's a clear indication that this is a human behavior rather than kind of like mystical by any means. We make the mystical meaning. Our subjective experience makes these things feel mystical. But yeah, what we're doing is kind of expressing ourselves in a very unique and very interesting way. And like I said, I believe that it can be dangerous for the reason of, like, pulling people into this world that's disconnected from reality. And being disconnected from reality is not the T, in my opinion. Yeah, I know what it feels like to be disconnected, and while I do think that part of that was an important aspect of, like, my spiritual journey and my ability to kind of, like, be very, I don't know, it feels a part of just, like, me having a full human experience, right? So I think that this is really important stuff. But yeah, I think that it's important to process these things together. Like I said, I think it can be dangerous if we don't. I think that it can be dangerous if we don't use caution and skepticism when we interact with these ideas. So let me pull this video up, and we're going to watch this together. I think that it'll be kind of fun to watch this one. We're going to look at, like, how easy it is for people to believe that they can actually speak to aliens when clearly that's not necessarily what's happening. We just kind of talked about all of the real definitions of this thing. And as usual, we're going to speed this up because nobody has time for that.
If I weren't experiencing this reality, it would seem insane to me. Do you believe you're an alien? Definitely. I can open up a portal, speak your own version of light language as well.
It's also super funny. I'm sorry, I'm, like, scratching my eyes in the camera. I think that it's also super funny when just like how into it people get.
I just keep my hands on the wheel. I've been wanting to meet Heather, Activation Vibration, for 3 years, I think. I've been listening to Heather's affirmations every morning for a year. Heather travels all over the world. She has a place here in California. She claimed to speak alien language. People call it light codes or light language. In the spiritual world, there are people who claim that they can connect with different extraterrestrial beings, speak light language. They actually feel that they come to Earth from another part of the galaxy. I 100% believe in aliens at this point. I've made a couple videos about it, and one was a documentary with Yes Theory where we actually spent time with people who had abduction stories. I'm hoping that after spending the day with her, I'll have a better idea.
So I think that when I watch these things, I honestly watch them from the perspective of, like, someone who's like, I'm looking at, like, people being pulled, like, roped into almost like cultish behavior or cultish mindsets or cultish beliefs. I won't say that, like, I won't say that it's a cult necessarily, but whatever. I'm sorry, Dragon. Oh, that's upsetting. I hope that you can get some tea very soon. Yeah. So yeah, I think that like I said, I like to watch this kind of like from a cultish perspective, or kind of like looking at someone who is kind of being pulled into like this cultish type of a thing. You can see that I watched another video of a person reviewing this one, and they kind of mentioned how she was primed to kind of have some type of a mystical experience by coming and hanging out with this woman, because she's been watching her activations, her light language channeling for a long time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, if maybe there is something to this alien language she's speaking, or maybe my bullshit meters will detect if it's completely a scam. But if anyone would be able to do this, it would be her. Let's get out. Can I tell you something? I've been wanting to meet you for like 2 years.
I've been feeling you, like you've been coming through the realms recently.
What does that mean, coming through the realms?
Like you've been appearing in different realities, your name, this, that, ideas, yes, okay.
like, what does that even mean? Like, that part makes me laugh so much. Like, I felt you coming. And it's like, oh, what did that mean? She was like, your name, your thing, the feelings, all of this.
Yeah, I feel her.
What are we doing?
We're just gonna allow for whatever is to flow through.
Do you use the pool here?
I do, I love it. It's actually salt water, so welcome to the portal.
Where I live, we call it the portal.
Really? There's a resonant vibe.
There's lots of synchronicities happening already.
So we have Sekhmet over here.
What's his name?
Sekhmet.
What does that mean?
It's actually the lion goddess from Egypt. He's a guy, but genders are
So
not,
it's
relevant.
non-binary.
I also think it's just really, whenever the spiritual aesthetic is just so cool. I love it so much. Like, I just think that it's such a cool aesthetic. Like super like bohemian maybe. But I think that it's also I die every time they start light speaking. Me too. I think it's one of the like funniest things ever, but very interesting.
Yes, he is. He honestly is. He likes to climb things and he likes to do really interesting tricks. Can you like jump on it? Just to, like,
Oh my god, all the expensive equipment. Do you want to give us a little tour?
Sure, yeah. There's different crystals actually aligned throughout the place, all set with intention to like hold a specific frequency so that you feel good, so that you feel nourished, so that you feel love. Welcome.
Can we talk about
The
this?
non-binary
Yes, we have a
cat.
bunch of different things that are
I'm vibing with the
energetically
non-binary
representative and like
cat.
symbolic of certain frequencies to invoke certain energies.
So you
It's
have
like
the
support.
broom.
Yes, she actually just came to me. It was a gift.
It's like Harry Potter.
I just-
when he gets the broom in the mail.
It wasn't exactly like that, but like it was.
I've been wanting to meet you for like 2 years.
I've been- She
Okay.
actually just came to me. It was a gift.
It's like-
So the other thing that I just always think that these videos are really good to just go through, because the people from the spiritual world they come out of their mouth with all types of stuff. She literally is like, yeah, we have crystals, all of them are programmed with a different frequency and they're gonna have a certain activation. It's like, what do all of those things mean? I do have crystals. I keep looking around because I love crystals, dude. I think they're amazing. Like, this is beautiful. I have lots of them, and I think that they're stunning. I'm gonna get more, so many, because I love it. I love pretty rocks. But who knows what they mean? What's up, it's good to see you. We're just talking about a non-binary cat. It's very exciting stuff. So I'm glad you're here.
Harry Potter.
I just-
when he gets the broom in the mail.
It wasn't exactly like that, but like it was like that.
Can you
Do you
pull
want
it
to see her?
out?
Yes.
Can I touch it?
Yes. Whoa. This is cool. This is a vibe for you. Oh, you look incredible.
The purple vibes, the banana socks.
You chose your socks to match.
Segment,
with
do
your
you
hair.
like it? Segment is a little tearing up the sacred broom. Segment.
It's not like I ride this broom at night and it comes alive and this is what I. No, it's more just like an energetic representation of magic.
So I've been listening to your music every morning for about a year.
That is incredible.
I just can't thank you enough
Yeah.
because it really makes a difference in my day. There's definitely a time in my life where
Life could be a dream. Oh, to be a white girl with reappropriated spiritualities from language that I can't pronounce and make easy money by scamming people out of their asses. Oh, dude, life could be a dream. I swear, like when I like was trying to do the whole like I call it the girl boss thing, just even though I'm not that. Whatever. When I tried to do the whole girl boss thing, like I couldn't do it. Like you have to do so many scammy things. Like it's crazy. Because like these spiritual people, you think that they're like being all spiritual, but they are, dude, these people are cutthroat. They are brutal people. Anyway.
where I struggled a lot with wanting to get out of bed and felt a lot of depression and anxiety and like would just wake up anxious. Listening to those, it's been actually like a pillar of my morning routine.
I love that so much.
Wow. So this is the power of this stuff. So this pulled her out of a depression, guys, right? So like this isn't a small thing. This is why I think this is important to talk about and be like, watch out, y'all. Exactly, they scamming. And whenever someone comes to you saying, your work changed my life and I was in such a dark place, for the person, it's like, what's that called? Dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign, like all over the place. Like, and I know that the people, they might not, I'm not saying that spiritual people are scamming intentionally. Like, I was never that type of a person. Like, I would have done it because I'm like, I can help this person, right? But at the same time, money is also, you got to eat. So you know that there's also a dollar sign hanging over their heads. And this is kind of the difference between like what indigenous people, I've heard they call them the plastic shamanism. Like, these are the plastic shamans, the plastic medicine men who are doing things like kind of appropriating these practices. They don't really understand what they're doing or what they're talking about, and they're charging a lot of money for these services as well. And a lot of these more authentic, I would really say more authentic indigenous practices, oftentimes it's more kind of like on a bartering or even like very free, very low cost services. And I would say kind of like the whole like $200 thing isn't really like what those ancestors were thinking about. The light's inside you. Curses me. You'll have to just read it to enjoy whatever. All right.
Let's see the rest of the beautiful portal.
So welcome to the garden. These are oranges.
So good. What do you eat?
Only breath and magic.
You're not actually breathing.
No, I'm not actually. I know that's a real thing though. I haven't eaten meat in 11 years actually, until I just did ayahuasca 2 weeks ago. And I had this whole thing come through where it was like,
Oh, okay. Oh, this part I also wanted to talk about. All right. And like when I've watched other people cover this video, like they see like the kind of issue with her saying that she can talk to aliens, but they're not looking at like the nuance of kind of the spiritual and religious claims that she's making. I also do want to pause for what Rura said. Spirituality becoming a substitute for mental health. That is so common. It's so upsetting, honestly. I fell into the hole. I literally like tried to force myself to go off of medication because I wanted to kind of like just use spiritual practice for my mental health, because I thought that was the more better thing to do. That's not appropriate English, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and it really does, because it helped me so much with my depression. It helped me so much with my mental health, especially in the beginning. It got bad in the end, but that's a different story, because you're more like dissociated from reality and you start getting disconnected. It happens to a lot of people. You can like see it. It's weird. It's bizarre. Anyway. Okay, the marketing team behind that dude is genius, because I know it's different between Muslims and we see white girls. Oh, hold on. Infinite Waters. Are you talking about Infinite Waters? That black guy? Because he was one of the first folks that I started looking at too. William Knight. I don't even know who that guy is. I'll have to hold on a second. I don't know who that is, and I'm very curious. Is that like a spiritual like teacher person? Yeah. I don't know who this is. Oh, martial artist. Interesting. Oh, you want me to talk about Teal Swan right now? I have so much to say about Teal Swan. I have a lot of Teal Swan makes me feel really emotional. Yeah, I will have to do a whole video on Teal Swan and my relationship with her teachings. I feel probably the most like fucked over by her as a spiritual ideology overall, for a lot of reasons. Maybe okay. Let's get through this video, and yeah, high key giving call. It really is. Maybe at the end of this video, I'll talk about both of those guys because I don't have like a lot of like other content other than just this other video and this one's happening over. Yeah, going on T soon. Yay! I'm very happy. Very exciting for you. I know that transitioning is like stressful and exciting and like very happy, and I hope like you're doing everything safely. I'm really proud of you. Unicults. I don't know what that is. Okay. I would love to talk with you about it. If you can reach out to me, I'm not even joking, on Instagram at MavMagic, and just reach out to me. I would love to just like have a conversation with you about it. It doesn't have to be like on the channel if you don't want it to be, but even that would be super cool because I'd love to hear from other people's perspectives, especially the online cult community, because I definitely felt like I was a little bit a part of. I would say I was like on the outskirts of the Teal Swan cult. I never like went to any of the events or anything like that, but I was very much like I idolized her as a leader. Unfortunately, apologies to Dragon's butthole. Everyone say a prayer. Oh, I'm surprised I've never. I love finding out about new internet cults. So watch out for Teal Swan, Infinite Waters, Inspiring Philosophy. I think was that what it's called? No, I forget what this other guy is called. Questioning. His name is Leo Gura. I forget what his cult is called. And Spirit Science. All these guys. Oh, I ate that shit up. And there's another one called Universe Inside You, which is more of like a conspiracy site, but I loved, oh my God. I believed that the moon wasn't real for a long time, guys. I was so disconnected from the real world. I thought that the earth was hollow and like people lived in the center of the, guys, this stuff, like, this is why I'm saying that we got to be careful, because you're going to have people out here literally thinking that the moon is a satellite for the alien species, and that the dark side of the moon is dark because aliens.
Me in 11 years, actually, until I just did ayahuasca 2 weeks ago, and I had this whole thing come through where it was.
Oh, this is what I was gonna say, dude. I feel for you. Like, that's why I don't mess with anyone saying, oh, how could you fall for all that cult. I don't make fun of people like that. I don't agree with anybody doing that because it's so easy. Because people know how to manipulate human psychology, and it's oftentimes not your fault. It's just they abuse your humanity. Okay, so the other thing about spirituality and why sometimes it can be BS is because people in the spiritual community will oftentimes preach that your vibration is higher when you're vegetarian or vegan or breatharian even. And so, but the thing is like, God is pretty much just you telling you what to do. And it's, so she's over here, she's going to say that like, she was a vegetarian until like the universe told her that she didn't have to be anymore. Like, she probably just wanted to eat meat again and conveniently had a vision that confirmed that.
It's like, I partly identify with the fact that I've been vegan, that I haven't eaten meat for over 11 years, and I'm like 2 weeks ago. No, I'm not actually. I know that's a real thing though. I haven't eaten meat in 11 years, actually, until I just did ayahuasca 2 weeks ago. And I had this whole thing come through where it was like, I partly identify with the fact that I've been vegan, that I haven't eaten meat for over 11 years, and I'm like, I need to dissolve that ego.
I want to sit down and really dive into all of this.
Let's do it.
So
But like, okay, so she is dissolving her ego of being a vegan or vegetarian, but she's not dissolving her ego of being a galactic starseed alien, can speak to aliens, like teacher of a bunch of people. Like, make it make sense. Is anyone else following with that? You know what I'm saying? If you really claim, that your spirituality is legitimate and that you're really trying to disidentify with every label so that you can't be a vegetarian or a vegan because that's identifying too much, but you can be like whatever you are as your entire thing, that just doesn't make sense with me at all. Okay. And I'll have to watch that you thing. I've never heard of that before. Celery and rosé. Interesting.
let's go back to the altar and
Let's
like
do
sit.
Hello, my
Oh.
name is Daniel, and I made this painting.
Come on,
I'm going to show
Daniel.
you how I did it. So my client reached.
See it, guys? I don't have. Guys. Sorry, this part when she's playing the thing, like I said, I don't want to be a cringe channel. I just think that it's so funny because she's just so excited about it, and it's like pretty mediocre playing, which is fine. Like I have a drum too, and I play exactly the same level as her, but she looks like she thinks she's like amazing.
It's like sit.
She's ready to go in. On
What's it called? A
hand.
hand drum?
A handpan, but it's a space drum. It
It's
is
a UFO.
It's actually a spaceship
In your lap.
that plays sound frequencies that are like cosmic binaural beat sound frequencies that register to certain parts of your brain and activate certain awarenesses and consciousnesses and abilities to feel. Same thing as light language.
I don't.
So the space drum, when you beat the space drum, it releases binaural frequencies, cosmic frequencies that are just like light language. Oh, goodness gracious. And you're believing in New Age and being mentally ill is worse. Everything feels so real. Y'all, that's the thing is like New Age is really, it's not safe. It's not safe for mentally ill people like me. It messes with the way you view reality. And if you're, because I think that oftentimes, I don't know if this is true all the way around, but like you have people where you have a group of people and I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say, half of the people are able to be hypnotized and the other half are not. Why is that? There are certain, I'm sure it's the neurochemistry of the different brains, why people react to different things. I keep touching my face because there's like a string or a hair that's somewhere, and I swear to God, I think I got it. Goodness gracious. So I, as like a neurodivergent person, I've always been very like pretty gullible. Like my parents told me, this is what reality is. The earth is this many years old. Jesus really walked on water, all this stuff. I'm like, cool. That is a legitimate thing that actually happened. That structures the way that I view reality. That becomes kind of the base for my reality, right? And then I kind of become this person who like all this stuff is super easy for me to believe. Everything feels so real. Dang. Wow. Dang. Woo. Fascinating. Yeah, you can do anything. You can manipulate people very easily by using spirituality. Yeah, I have a real desire. I don't know. I think it's a chaotic desire to like start like a channel, but like pretending to be like a spiritual person, like I'm like not connected to any of my other channels, and just like see how many people I could get to believe me. I don't think I would actually do it, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone.
Understand.
It's okay, you don't have to. Your soul gets it.
How do I do it?
It's kind of like you're pulling the sound
Okay, let me watch this other thing. Listen to what she says.
that register to certain parts of your brain and activate certain awarenesses and consciousnesses and abilities to feel. Same thing as light language.
I don't understand.
It's okay, you don't have to. Your soul gets it.
How do
Okay, I don't understand. And then she just says, you don't have to. Your soul gets it. So it's like, I want you to see how that's manipulative, right? So it's like, there's almost like a curiosity with those words that pulls you in, like, like, how can I understand what my soul can understand? How can I get to that level of understanding like my soul? And then also, how can I get to the level of understanding like she does? Because apparently she's on this level that she understands these concepts. You know what I mean? It's this very subtle way of manipulating people. And like I said, I do not believe that these people do this intentionally, because I know that I was this person and I was coming from what I thought was a very selfless place, and I did it to help other people. So I'm not judging or shaming. I'm just talking from.
How do I do it?
It's kind of like you're pulling the sound out.
My little necklace is getting in the
Which,
way.
by the way, I love this. I've seen them before.
It's called the Shift, and it's made by Camuso, and basically helps you breathe slow.
Did you see that ad placement Oh my gosh, your necklace is in the way of your drum. Here is the drum conveniently, and I see, okay.
Yes,
Head
usually
over.
different every time, but it does require centering my energy so that I can open up and channel.
Are you going to be able to show us?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to co-create a space, a container to where you feel comfortable, and if you feel called, to allow your soul to speak your own version of light language as well.
I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm so open.
The human doesn't need to know, the soul will get it.
People who are speaking light.
The human doesn't need to know, the soul will get it. This is the epitome of dualism, the idea that like our body and spirit are different substances. Like, okay, so also like fundamentally, this is dualism on like a cosmic level, means like there is material stuff and there is immaterial stuff. And I'm not talking about things like emotions or thoughts, because like neuroscience confirms that those things are like based on neurochemistry. Like we know that those are our chemical functions of the brain. So like, yes, those are immaterial, but they're not like etheric, so to speak. So we're talking about the difference between having material and etheric stuff. So when you separate yourself like that, when you separate this, like it's you and your soul, these two different entities, from my perspective, what I believe, like, and also like what I see, I think as a clinician, this also I think can be problematic, is you're dissociated from yourself. You're like, I am not my whole self. There's this other part of me that's secretly somewhere else that I don't have access to. That's not a real part of me, and I need help to find this true part of me. I believe that's problematic.
Light language, they could just completely be making this up.
Totally. It could be totally fake to some people, but I can't deny it. I need to have multiple
You
proven
can't be
facts,
totally
experiences in order to claim something as tangible or real. There have been multiple proven facts. Totally.
So we're gonna see how she believes whether or not something is real. This is why I believe that everybody needs to know why they believe what they believe. And you need to have good reasons. For me, for myself, I believe that I need to have good reasons to believe what I believe now. I did not used to have this, but here is what her requirements for belief.
It could be totally fake to some people, but I can't deny it. I need to have multiple proven facts, experiences in order to claim something as tangible or real. There have been so many forms of confirmation for me connecting with ETs. I don't deny this. It would be inauthentic for me to deny it. I would literally be holding the biggest part of my experience back and suppressing that.
Talk me through your experience.
Okay. So basically, she needs to have multiple experiences and facts to prove anything that she believes in. So that is why she believes that extraterrestrials, aliens are real, and that you can communicate with them. Your experience is unreliable. Once again, your experience is unreliable. So is everybody else's experience. We are not accurate judges of our own experiences. I wish that we were, but we're not. Our memory is not that good. We shouldn't rely on ourselves as much as we do. Like it's in this way, if we have like, especially like a crazy experience like that, we should not rely on our interpretation of that subjective experience. Especially, we should not let our interpretation of our subjective experience influence the way that we perceive the outside world. Okay, it can influence our little magical world inside of our head, our imagination. We can do whatever we want in our imagination. That's an incredible way to connect with life, is to imagine things. Have fun with aliens in your imagination. But as soon as you start to cross the barrier between real life and fiction and fantasy, that's where you're starting to get disconnected from reality. You're right. This stuff is so appealing and mystical. I think that's what attracts people to the new age. If you're a curious person, you have a wild imagination, you can have fun, but get lost in the sauce. Absolutely. I was so lost. I was like, bye reality. That's why I wrote an article about this, and I was like, I called it my break from reality. I just said, deuces, like, let's see ya. I was on another planet for a little while. It was real fun though. Not gonna lie, it was blissful. Not gonna, yeah.
Experience.
Yes.
of connecting with extraterrestrials?
I'd say over the past like 8 years, really, I've been connecting with cosmic beings, ETs specifically. A few years ago, I was completely sober, laying in my bed, and I felt called to meditate. And as I was meditating, these 3 light beings appeared on each side of my bed, like kind of what you would think an alien would look like, where they were really tall, their heads were different shapes, and their arms and their legs were more lengthy, and they had maybe about 3 or 4 fingers I couldn't fully see. But
Also, like, what she's describing is a hallucination or a dream. The fact that she's laying in bed means that most likely you can just pretty much, you probably was in like some type of hypnagogic state, which is like the state between being awake and being asleep. And she started having this hallucination. One of the things that kind of gives it away for me is she said it's exactly how I thought that they would look. You know what I mean? In my opinion is that I think that aliens are probably not going to look anything like what we think they look like. And the fact that the aliens looked exactly like your imagination, that all the cartoons put it, like, that's like, for me, that's kind of like, come on, dude, like, like, do better than that. It's kind of like saying, I saw an alien. I mean, I saw a unicorn. It's like, I feel like a real, when you find real new species that actually exist, they are much more fantastic than even a unicorn. These freaking like deep sea creatures that freaking glow, they look like science fiction alien things underwater, right? They look incredible. We have real amazing things that are actually alive and that we can prove, and yet we choose to live in fantasy land. That says so much about our desire to escape. Life is so painful. Life is so hard, guys. Like, life sucks sometimes, and that's why we don't want to be here. We don't want to do it. It's exhausting. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Like, this is it. This is all we've got. It sucks, but this is reality. You know what I mean? And you're right. Being on a different planet was really fun. Slick. Dream Boy. Yeah, he got so obsessed with the new age, he killed someone. Wow. See, that's so upsetting. The USA is invading themselves, so no aliens needed. Exactly. Yeah, don't believe everything you see, guys. Just withhold belief until you receive evidence, please, for your own sanity's sake.
But they weren't physical form. They were emanations of light.
You were awake.
I was awake. I was not sleeping. I wasn't in a dream. And they lifted out my light body so I could see it, almost to show my human, this like spiritual body of mine, this aura, this energy that we all talk about. It's real. The next morning.
Right. So she had a vision that told her that everything was real, that she thought that she was awake. She really thought that she was awake. She couldn't have been asleep. Yes, you could have been asleep. The fact that you were just laying in bed. Like, a lot of the stories will start like that. I was in bed, or it was late at night, or I was driving really late at night. Like, the stories start that way. You have to understand this is a normal human occurrence. I'll say it's a fantastical one. It's a very unique experience. It's very special. Like, not everybody has these types of hallucinations. But yeah, she most likely was primed to have an experience like this. I'm glad. Yeah, get some rest, Dragon.
I started thinking about Arcturians. Arcturians, what are Arcturians?
So the name of Arcturians just came to
through, fully came through. I had not heard of them before. And they are the energetic consciousness that I connect to. And
just because you don't remember hearing something doesn't mean you haven't actually heard it or seen it before, by the way.
Channel and communicate most to.
And the fact that she was deep in it, by the way that she spoke about it, she was in the spiritual community before that, is very likely that she glanced at or heard in passing something about one of those alien beings before.
What other experiences have you had actually
in
seeing?
physical form? So multiple times I've taken friends to Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree is like a huge portal. It's happened 3 different times. We've seen full-on ships. There's a portal in the middle of the sky, and all of these ships kept going from all over the sky to this portal and disappearing.
I actually made a documentary about people who had abduction stories. So I'm at the point where I definitely believe in extraterrestrials,
Yes.
but I'm still sort of integrating into the information. For some people watching this, they may be like, "What? These girls are batshit crazy."
Full on.
Yes, look at this show called Cosmic Disclosure. This guy making claims about the government knew about aliens and had a whole secret product about them. Yeah, and Justin Bieber is a reptilian. Like, there are so many people who make fantastical claims about spirituality, about aliens. And guys, I love it. I love it so much. I love, what's that called? Fantasizing about aliens. Like, I love watching alien documentaries. This stuff is it's fun. For me, it's so much fun. I love it. But also, just because somebody says that they know someone from the CIA who gave them a document that they know for sure is definitely from the government, like, we have to take everything with a grain of salt, especially nowadays. Everybody's coming up with these big conspiracies and everything. Guys, like, you guys need to be careful. Everybody needs to be careful. Tell your friends, be careful. God, let me tell you that I was this close. Your boy was this close to signing up for Gaia. I wanted to so much. Oh, you see, you did. See, you're lucky. See, I didn't have, at the time, I was broke as hell. We were so broke at the time when I was like deep in my awakening. It was my fault, by the way, why we were super broke. Because of my crazy spiritual awakening that made me do a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't think that was probably the closest to mania I've ever been. I would say more. It was like more of I think it was more like a little bit. I just was so disconnected from reality. That's why I consider it more of a like psychosis-y type of thing, dissociative, psychotic episode. I don't know. I didn't do research about this. I'm not going to make claims about it right now. Anyway, those are a lot of guys, like, there's so much. Sometimes I look at my channel and I'm like, I don't know if any of this is important. Like, I feel like, I don't know if people are going to be interested in hearing about this type of stuff, but there are a lot of people out there who are just doing shit and they think that they're real. And I want people to have fun and like know what they're doing as well. Like, I don't know. Like, I've watched a ton of documentaries about mind control and all that stuff and being able to move stuff with your mind, telekinesis and all that. Guys, if anybody wants magical powers, it's me. Like, if anyone has tried magical powers, it's me. Like, this stuff fascinates the hell out of me. Like, I you know what I mean? I want it to be super real, but at the same time, I just think that it's like, it's important to have these conversations also. An elf cult, that's really interesting. Went vegan for 2 months, found my name, now eat fish. Very interesting. MK, yeah. Let's not. I feel like I can't trust anything anymore. I'm just gonna try to just keep me and my family. Really, honestly, I'm at this place where I'm just like, everything freaks me the fuck out. So like, I'm just gonna try to keep me and my family safe, and really, that's it. Yeah, I have never watched I've never watched South Park, but I know what episode you're talking about, and exactly. All right.
That happens all the time, and it's totally fine. Like, I totally get it, because if I weren't experiencing this reality, it would seem insane to me. It's so real and so undeniable for me that I don't really mind what other people think or what they feel.
I want to talk about the talking to aliens.
Yes, there's a specific energy and essence, a transmission that's coming through the light language, but it's not specific words. You wouldn't be able to translate this word means this word means this word. It transcends beyond the ego's need to imprint and identify certain meanings with specific words.
So what you're saying is that
Yes, it imprints and inklings on the certain inclinations of the language. Like, what is anything that she just said? And I remember wanting to know how to talk this lingo so badly. And I got to the point where I was pretty good at it, and I understood the word salad. It's kind of like when I was a Christian, like, we would talk about like Christianese, like how non-Christians wouldn't know how to kind of talk to Christians. They kind of spoke another language. And that's how I felt with the New Age. I had to kind of learn the New Age language. Now I'm more sarcastic and rude to people like her. Interesting. I'm still like trying to work on being more sassy towards people. So I understand that. I feel like control and power beliefs are easier to prove or disprove because the supposed source is right there. So a test or experiment shouldn't be too difficult to do. Yeah, especially for these types of things. I think that these are pretty easy to kind of like, to honestly, to prove away. Like, it's just, I don't think the evidence is as good as she thinks.
Alien language transcends human language.
Yeah, it transcends like the human realm entirely. It's like a cosmic stream of energy.
Not only does it transcend human language, it also transcends the human realm, which also makes claims that there's another realm separate from this one that we live in, right? Like, multiverse theory is still a theory and not like the theory of evolution. Like, it's still like something we're not sure about. And I've heard that there are things that are seeming to suggest more along the lines of like there not being a multiverse. But I don't know.
That is channeled through audible frequencies.
When you're speaking this language, do you know what you're saying?
Yes. It's happened multiple times actually where I've used light language in challenging situations or times where I need to activate my power. External reality shifts instantly. I am not even kidding. I'm talking about miracles happening instantly, things changing.
What has happened?
I was in India and in a taxi on my way to a retreat, and I had multiple hours to go. And the man let me know that he was instead taking me to his house with other men and was going to do things to me. And I had no service on my phone. I was in a country that I didn't know. And I sat there in meditation for a few seconds. A wave of energy came over me. And I actually became extremely calm. And I looked at him. I was sitting in the back, and he kept looking at me, smiling, laughing, thinking it was hilarious. You think you're a smart woman. He would say these weird things as I'm just sitting there meditating, like getting ready.
Guys, ready? Like, right?
But you got in the car with me, saying all these creepy things, trying to further activate my fear and make me feel less empowered. And I stared at him in the rear view mirror, and I just started channeling light language. It was a strong and powerful, fully activated portal of energy. It just fully came through. I was staring at him in the eyes, didn't flinch. And it was like, and within that second, he completely flinched, shifted, and turned the wheel so hard, literally almost like ripped us off the road. It was like, fine, have it your way. That's all he said, fine, have it your way. And I proceeded to drive with this man for 2 hours.
Why would you stay in the vehicle?
I have full body.
I have so many questions. I have so many questions about this story. It feels a little bit interesting. Like, if someone said, I'm gonna kidnap you and tie you in my basement, I would be like, I am getting out of the vehicle, right? Not like I'm gonna stay in the vehicle with you till I get to my destination. And then also like the fact, like, guys, this is like the ultimate way of getting creeps to not talk to you or to get creeps to back off of you. If someone is coming up on you, like, and taking up too much space, all I gotta do is look at them in the eye and go, like, I would be freaked the fuck out too. I'm not gonna lie. I would be freaked the fuck out too. Guys, like, I can't make this stuff up.
Body chills as you're telling this story. What you just spoke, it's so powerful. What was
I saying?
The message?
You had planned this thinking that you would succeed, but you have chosen the wrong one, because it is not just this girl that sits back in the back of your car. I am a temple of energies, of gods and goddesses streaming through to teach you a message. So it wasn't even about me. It was about this energy that needed to come through for him. Wow. Who knows how many times he has done that, or the people that he was doing it with have done it. But that day, I was meant to not only experience my own initiation and activation with him and like, holy heaven, but for him to experience a shift too. But I also use light language to activate high frequencies of bliss and happiness. And that's what I do through my songs. It's the galactic connection and channel that has been able to reach those who resonate and people who are ready to like tap into this higher frequency awareness.
Do you believe you're an alien?
Definitely. Like, I for sure am.
Have they told you?
Like, guys, and I kid you not, I know that she's not kidding. I know for a fact that she's not kidding. She for sure, for real, thinks she's an alien. Like,
You about what's going on in the world currently?
I do get confirmation that by 2024, there will be a physical landing where it is known by the mainstream that aliens exist. So within the next 2 years.
Soon.
Yeah, it's really soon.
That's in 2 years.
guys, oh my gosh, it's 2020 months, April, May. I can't even count the amount of months left. Aliens, I think, what, 8 months? Aliens touching down in 8 months, guys.
Yes.
My mind is in a pretzel almost, but
yeah, maybe literally.
Now we're talking about some like end times countdown bullshit.
You want to stop using human words and you want to speak light language.
yeah. So first,
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight and the gravitational effect.
Wow, we were just talking about Gaia.
First, we're going to be crystal portaling you.
Because they know when you start watching these videos, they start sending you Gaia online ads.
Slowly relaxing your nervous system and take you on a little journey of sound.
The full cat service. With a non-binary cat service. Like, guys, does this not look like relaxing as hell? Right?
Wasiya lahakwan
No,
pasata
this gives me really
Kurasiki asha salafwa kapi as asham. Indiki asha safua. Tu asiki alakwap asatash. Eki halakwam ba as. Wasi eshikia. Are you ready for this to come off? You don't have to open your eyes yet though.
It felt so good. What were you saying?
I felt like this grandfather cosmic energy.
Well, there's been
called upon us.
lots going on with my grandfather.
And is he still on Earth or?
No, he died.
Well, he's definitely one of your guides. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are like this cosmic granddaughter of like a specific mission. So with light language, it just comes naturally. It's just you allowing yourself, giving yourself, your soul permission to make sound, to be audible, to hear and feel vibration through your expression of whatever wants to come through.
I like want to believe this is real, but then the human part of me is questioning it still.
Which is natural and normal, and that's a part of the fun, where it's like we forget so that we can remember.
My fear is that I'm just going to make things up.
At first, it may feel like that, but you have to give yourself permission because that's still the ego doubting. I'm going to be speaking to you as well. It'll be a conversation. Okay, so like bringing your energy into our hands and let's activate the energy and holding it to your heart. And with this, opening up the gateway, the portal to your soul's language. So we're just going to be like kind of moving the torso.
Like that's non-binary meow meow. Right?
I just, oh yeah.
It went south.
It was
Let it speak through you.
I don't know. This is like low key. Is this like low key sexual to anybody else? Like, I don't know. It's probably just because I'm like hella trick sick. But do you know, like, are all my non-binary friends out there? I learned. Do you guys know that like a non-binary person who likes women is trick sick, and a non-binary person who likes men or like masculine people is called tauric. Isn't that interesting? If you wanted to know that.
Sick, yeah. Want to see you?
This is definitely an orgasm. 100%. 100%. Okay, we're coming down now.
Oh, yeah. It feels weird to say human words after.
Really good.
I don't know how to explain, but it feels, I have a full like healing.
Yes, a full opening, a full clearage from your throat, from your expression, from speaking your truth.
Yeah, I was coughing.
Guys, I can't right now. Like, for real. Like, and that's the thing. Like a lot of this, when you see, look up like Kundalini, any of that Kundalini yogic, I'm excited. Sorry. I'm just, okay. So like that Tantra stuff, they'll like I shit you not. They will you'll have these guys lay women down and they'll take their hands, like imagine this is their whole body. Wait, do I have, oh my God, guys, ready? I have this little guy, this little squash guy. This is Lil Mav is its name. Anyway, so imagine this is the woman, right? And the guy is coming over like this. He's like over her breasts, like doing this stuff, and then he goes into the crotchal region, and he's like scraping the air around it, and this woman is like writhing in ecstasy. I like this stuff. This is how you get into that, like some of that this is how you get into some of that sex cult stuff. Yeah, wipe that thing down for sure. Someone said, yeah, it's like this is very much like speaking in tongues, exactly the same thing. Yep. let your mouth just do whatever it wants to do. It's really interesting because it's, to me at least, it's like light language sounds different as a whole. Like when I listen to different light languages, it sounds different than like speaking in tongues. Like it seems like there is a culture around the types of noises that you use or something. Of yeah, right. I wish it was. Yeah, so I think this is super interesting. And like you also saw the other woman with, if you were here earlier, there was another woman who was doing this burping. She was like doing light language on herself and like was like releasing, release, and would just like burp as her release and like would cough, I guess. And so like you can see her doing that thing. I felt like this releasing from my throat or whatever.
Up
Energy blockages.
blockages.
Yeah.
My voice feels clear.
Yes.
I feel my voice feels different.
Yes, stronger. Yes. Your voice
Yeah.
trusts you more. You trust your voice more. Keep doing it whenever you feel called to. Again, like it is the best way to openly be able to express.
Very interesting. So you said, do I think that was real or was she faking for the camera? My most honest opinion is probably a little bit of both. Like it feels to me, at least, it's really hard to have authentic reactions in front of a camera. So I think you can catch them, obviously. I think you can be as authentic as you can be in front of a camera, like being hyped up and probably like look at the production value. Like they probably took multiple takes. So like some of this stuff might not be super authentic, but I can't know. I wasn't there. But the fact that she seemed pretty emotional, just suggests that this seems to be at least an important and probably a valuable experience for her. You have to understand that this woman was in a depression when she found this alien language other person, and that woman, her recordings, her light language recordings, helped this other person get out of a depressive space. And then she gets to meet her, have a one-on-one experience working with her. So she probably has her on a pretty high space. She probably really believes. Like it would be like if I were to go, if back in the day, if I were to go to a Teal Swan event, I would have had some type of incredible awakening, a realization while I was there. You know what I mean? Just because I'm primed because of the way that I view this person, you know? Yeah, damn, like, yeah, y'all, I don't think I can read all this stuff on the live stream because some of y'all dirty, not gonna lie.
And purge any type of energy or emotion. Nothing can get it out like light language can. Your like cosmic self is literally my best friend.
I feel like you could know what I was saying.
Fully yes the whole time.
At one point, I just felt like I was claiming my realm. Like this is my space to.
So it's interesting because it's like just a little bit ago she said you can't understand this language like at all, but then like just seconds later she's like, I understood what you were saying when you were speaking light language. So I'm like, which is it?
Express, this is where I do what I do. This is where I am who I am. It does not concern me what people are gonna think about it.
Yeah.
This is a good natural end. Yeah. So check out Heather, Activation Vibration, links in the video description. I have no idea, like comment whatever you think about this.
Really proud of you. You're amazing, so magical. Thank you for all you do.
Okay, that's it. And the adventure continues. Mwah.
Got a lot of time on our hands, yeah, don't have to.
All right, guys. Like, that's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, these are attractive women. Like, yeah, it's not hard to get a large audience when you're kind of preaching lots of magic and you're like an objectively attractive person. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like this stuff is rough. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts. Share with me some of your thoughts. What do you think about light language? What do you think about kind of like losing touch from reality so much that you are in a place where talking to aliens is possible? If you want me to talk about Teal Swan again, you could just let me know. I don't know. What are you guys interested in? What are some of your thoughts? All right. I just saw a commercial of a Black woman dancing in front of her microwave and dipping her pizza in ranch, and I felt attacked for some reason. That's accurate. I can relate to that a lot. Let me see if I have any other notes. No, okay. So yeah, light language is a super interesting phenomenon. I was really excited to learn the word glossolalia, um, which is basically just the whole thing about speaking in light language. And trans celebrity worship. I don't like. What do you mean by that? Like, I guess who? Like, give me an example. Maybe I don't know a lot of pop culture stuff. Like, who's being worshipped? But I'm curious about what your thoughts are, and I can talk about it if you just tell me more. She probably did curse us out in light language. It's interesting. Yeah, talking about like spirituality generally is one of my favorite topics, and but also I like talking about like gender and stuff. Okay, so that okay, like Dylan, that is a great. Okay, so my opinion is it feels like a bad time for everything. um, like it I don't know. Like I'm glad that there is a lot of visibility. And yeah, like I just think I wish that people were just allowed to do this stuff and just be happy. Like for example, like I am glad that like that Dylan has a platform and is able to do all this stuff. Like she like yeah, she's having the time of her life. Like I wish that she could just do her thing and it wouldn't like be a big deal so that like this wouldn't be a problem. But I think that a lot of people, like for example, like a lot of times people make content for other trans people, so there's a lot of like satire and stuff like that. But then when a cis person watches it, they're like, oh, you know, she thinks that being a girl is just X, Y, or Z stupid thing. But you know, like that's not that's not what it is. It's not what it's that's not what it's all about. I kind of forgot what I was saying mid sentence, which happens sometimes. Um, but yeah, so I guess are you also saying that you think like we need to be platforming activists more than like trans celebrities? I would I agree? Yeah, I think I would probably agree. I'd rather have activists maybe spreading their like actual information about like trans people and like trans rights and like why it's important and stuff like that. But that's not as exciting, right? So like teaching people stuff, I don't think is as exciting. Like we're more interested in watching her, you know, be like what I eat in a day. I'm sure we'd be more interested in a trans woman what I eat in a day than like actually learning about like how to support trans people in reality. I just think we're in a bad space right now in general in America, and it makes me nervous and upset, you know. Yeah, these things, yeah. But yeah, we can continue. Yeah, I would love to have more of these conversations and things like that, just because there's a lot I think to talk about. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like about this topic, I'm not sure if I have like, because it's not something that I've thought about a lot before, in terms of like, yeah, because like for example, like I don't think I have a problem. I don't have a problem necessarily with trans celebrities just being celebrities and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there are other things that we could probably be doing that'd be more effective for like trans rights. Because right now, like there's just not enough. I don't think that there's enough accurate information out there. Okay, all right. So we're gonna talk. So we're gonna have a real conversation today. Okay, all right, let's go. But you're right. God really is. God really is testing patience today. If I believed in God, I would believe that that was happening. But all right. So yeah, I recently interacted with someone who knew the shooter, like in that made it like even hit closer home to me in a certain way. Knowing yeah, that person gave me more information on the shooter as a person, and like this I'm just upset. I'm upset generally. Okay, let's start from. So I see, like, first I see that it's there's something happening, right? The shooting happening. There's people who have lost their lives. That was devastating for me, kind of like upsetting that this is happening again, another school shooting. I was upset. But more kind of like this is just like, I'm upset. This just happened last week, whatever. But then I'm hearing more about, like, they're finding more about his pronouns and everything like that. And I'm like, I literally am just like, fuck, like, why? Like, why now? Why does this have to be what this is going to be? And then it just, like, and then I just kind of, before I knew information, just started speculating about how bad it was going to get in the media, how worried I got about how things would change people's perceptions. Let me just share a little bit of an honest thing from my life. Recently, my wife's grandfather made it clear that I was no longer allowed at their house anymore. So she's allowed to go visit, but I'm not allowed there anymore. They were comfortable with me going before I was transitioning, but now that I've transitioned to this perspective, he's just not comfortable seeing me around anymore. And he pretty much sits around all day and, like, watches, like, Fox News and Shark Tank, apparently. And so I'm like, so in my head, I'm thinking, like, damn, like, people like her grandfather are going to be sitting around, like, having people say things about, like, trans people in the media, and being, like, vilifying them, saying that, like, bad stuff generally about trans. I was so worried about all of this stuff happening. I don't want this, this selfish. I think it's selfish. I'm more upset about like the presentation of trans people than necessarily about the fact that it's a shooting. It reflects how calloused I've become, I think, towards tragedy in our society and shootings in general. And I also think that, like, with my suspected, like, autistic qualities, like empathy and like seeing things that happen, like, don't always, like, I can very easily disconnect myself if I don't feel connected to it. But as soon as I found out that this person was trans and transmasculine, I think, like, it, like, made me feel connected to this person instantly. And when I made the connection that it was this person who went into a Christian school, I was like, it seems like this is a Christian who kind of got upset violently, about the whole Christian thing and took it out on little kids. I think that is awful. I think that is fucked up. I think that is one of the most cowardly things that you can do. I see some of you guys kind of saying things like, he could have gotten help and all of this stuff. Like, they could have gotten help. They could have gotten support. This wasn't their only option. Like, I know that like, the fact that you had someone to send a goodbye text message to, but you couldn't, like, go to their house and, like, say, like, I need help. Like, and then why'd you have to take other people out? Like, why didn't, see, this is me being real upset. Like, I understand if you feel like, I think that if people make a choice to take their own life, like, people have the right to do that. Honestly, people should have the right to do that. Do I think that it's a devastating thing? Oh my God, absolutely. It's devastating that people get to a point where they feel like they can't save them. They can't live anymore. The fact that people feel that way is awful. The fact that people feel that way, likely because of the society that they're living in, because they grew up in a home with parents who did not give a shit about who they were, because they, like, I know what it's like to feel trapped, like, in a home like that. It's so scary and it's so painful. Like, I just don't know how you go from there to thinking about hurting other people. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why do you have to do things like that? And I personally, like, I like, another selfish thing, as I feel like he knew, like, he would have known. He knew he was going to be on the news. Like, he fucking knew. The text message he sent to his friend, like, said, like, you'll probably see me on the news after this. And like, and she did, she for sure did. And I usually like, and the thing, like, I usually don't like watch a lot of the news around school shootings because I usually am like a little bit more like dissociated and disconnected from that. But I watched like body cam footage of this one. I like checking up on the news on this one because I feel invested for some, not for some reason. I think because it's a trans person and there's a lot going on in the media right now. That's why I feel so connected to it. And I'm like, I feel like worried about it. Not like this is going to change anything. I don't think like there's going to be any new laws that are like the Stop Trans People from Attacking Schools bill. Like, I don't think this is whatever. Exactly. You could afford however many guns he had, like 4 or 5 or something like that. He could have done a bunch of other things. He could have gone quietly. Like, yo, like it makes me feel really upset. And I okay, so let me see. So speaking of community, I've been trying to find another way of describing labeling queer biology outside of male, female, or intersex because I'm afraid if we start identifying by male, we have like help. But okay, so I think I'll talk about this a little bit after I'm kind of done with the thoughts. Yeah, that I saw that too. And like, now that you said that, I can like, I see it in my head. Like I see him like dropping in the video. It's like, it's trippy, you know, like, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. That is just, I don't understand how you get there. I don't understand how you get to the place of I'm so broken and I'm hurting so badly. And then like, how long did you have to plan that? Like you had to have planned that. Like you know what I mean? He had maps, you know what I'm saying, written out and everything. It's awful. The privilege that fucker had. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like if you could buy guns, you could afford therapy. If you could buy guns, you could probably have afforded. You could afford it to like run away, like move out, like dude. Like there are other things you could have done. Like it's just, come on, and like, yeah. So like the states, they have emergency housing. Yeah, they have options, and I will say that I know that this person pursued help in the past. They tried to get help, and yeah, apparently, you know, it was clear that they have been suffering for a really long time. And yeah, and that's the thing is I wish, especially now. Apparently, I don't know how much to say. The person who I talked to said that they knew this person a couple years ago. So, but. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm very interested in the manifesto, though. I hope that we don't have to do this anymore. People don't have to keep doing stuff like this. It breaks my heart, like, more than, like, there are young kids. Like, and I think I don't remember how old he was, but he's a kid, like probably mid-20s or something, or 26, I think, which isn't really like super young. You know, you're you're very much an adult at that point, but still like a pretty young adult at that time, and you're just kind of getting into adulthood, and like he couldn't see far enough to kind of see his life going anywhere else but worse, and like. I understand the agony and I understand getting to that point, like not wanting to exist anymore. But like, once again, I don't know where it switches. I don't know where it switches to like, I have to hurt other people. Ooh. And like that feeling of isolation. Dream Boy says, I remember when I went to a Seventh-day Adventist school and the only other gay person besides me was ridiculed for being gay. And I don't think people really understand what that feels like. I think that straight cis people who are the uncompassionate kind specifically, when I hear them talk sometimes about queer and trans issues, I'm like, you don't know what it like. All I can do is just feel. I feel how strongly they don't understand the way they talk. I'm like, you really don't know what it's like to live in my body, and you'll never know what it's like to live in my body. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand the pain of like feeling that wrong. Like that there's this very deep sense of wrongness. I'm sure that like there are other situations where people feel this way for different reasons. It could be for race, maybe disability, or other reasons why you feel that innate sense of wrongness. But obviously, it's a unique pain, especially for those who have a religious upbringing. And then you continue. I never said a word. When my parents found out, I moved out. And as hard as it is sometimes, no matter how kind they are, we would never move back. They really shielded me from self-expression. Yeah, I feel the same way. And I very much like am like, please reach out to me on Instagram so that we can have a conversation. Because I feel like there's a lot we could talk about. But yeah, like, my parents were my bullies, you know, like it was like when I have a lot of stories I have a couple stories, but when there was a time where I did a gay thing at church, and my dad and I told them, I was like, I did a gay thing at church a little bit before. It wasn't even it was like it was a suggestion of a gay thing, by the way, anyway. And I got a talking to, and I begged them. It was a little bit before my birthday, and I begged them not to tell my dad. I was like, please don't tell my parents. Like, my birthday's coming up soon, and I just want to have like a normal birthday. Like, I remember that's like all I wanted, and they were like, I can't promise you that. And they told him, and it sucked really bad. Like, yeah. And no wonder why I have such deep, like, transphobia. Like, it's slowly getting better. I'm addressing it in therapy, and learning, and I'm watching and seeing how profound my self-policing is. I guess that would be maybe a good way to put it, because it's about everything, not just my sexuality and gender presentation and things like that. My brain tries to find moral connections for everything. Like I have a weird suspicion. I'm curious if anyone else has feelings that they share around this, but like suspicions about like the connection between religiosity and like OCD, compulsive behaviors, because the way that they have you, like, they force you almost to like compulsively check yourself for sin, like, has to do something. I know for a fact it did something to my psyche, and I'm curious if other people have had similar experiences. Depending on what religions you are a part of, it might change. Let me really quickly go up to this slick and slayicious comment. I hope you're still here. But talking about community and talking about being queer without using male and female or intersex, because you're afraid if we start identified by male and female, we inadvertently help the medical erasure of non-binary trans people. And I think that this can be a really big problem in the community specifically. Like, I am trying to figure out my position, exactly where I land on queer trans related theory. And what I'm talking about specifically, like with like trans medicalism, true scum, too cute ideology. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with any of that stuff, but I'm in my place. I'm just trying to figure out where I land exactly with what not really just what I believe, but what science says, because that's really important to me. And like, yeah, I think that it's important, because I think that there is a little bit of like, I'm just gonna be honest, guys. Like, I don't think that, like, I think that there are some people who are maybe like really young, who don't really understand like the whole gender thing, who are like, I identify as like bun self gender. And I'm like, and I don't know if they really understand like what what this means about real life. Like, I understand these like playful terms around gender and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, yeah, they're like playful things around people's gender expression and things like that, with like a lot of xenogenders and stuff like that. And I think that those things can be fun and entertaining, but at the same time can maybe pull away from like people, like especially trans people who need medical care. And those people are the most vulnerable. Trans people, gender nonconforming people who do not have dysphoria, they, medical dysphoria specifically, they don't, yeah, they just like, you don't need medical care. So like it's not that like you're not a part of the community. It's just like it is different. Like that's why I think I personally, I'm comfortable with the term transsexual for myself, like using that term, because I feel transsexual. Like I have trans my sex characteristics, like they're not the same anymore. And yeah, so yeah, I feel like I'm both transgender and transsexual. So that's just how I perceive myself. I don't know if other people are comfortable using those words for themselves. But yeah, I've heard of the scum. I think some people think trans is a gimmick because of the gender play pronoun. Yeah, me too. And I think that is where I think some of the issues can be. I feel kind of frustrated about this stuff. I don't really know what to. I just think it's okay. So in like the debate world, you have the term that's called a straw man. And a straw man is basically like when you use like the worst argument against a community. Like, for example, if I were to say like Christianity is just a blood cult that, or like a blood sacrifice cult that, it subdues people, right? Like that would kind of be like a straw man. Like I'm taking some of the worst arguments, things that I disagree about Christianity, and kind of pushing it as like the only thing that happens. Like an appropriate way to have a discussion would be to present the nuance, like saying like there are good things and bad things about Christianity. Here's a balanced perspective, and why I still think that it's ineffective, right? That would be an appropriate way of having an argument. But in the media, you're seeing them straw manning trans issues, saying that like, oh, we're gonna have kids using litter boxes in the classroom. And you know what I mean? Like, and that's just not the truth. Like, apparently the truth was that someone took a picture of a litter box in an airport bathroom, and somehow the caption on the picture got changed to school, and then the story changed from it's in the school to there's a teacher who's using a litter box at the front of the students, like a transgender teacher, right? And then now I'm watching other people, they're talking about trans people, like drag queens and trans people are the same thing. They're saying things like MAPs, minor attracted people, are, trying to make themselves in the LGBTQ community, like all of this stuff. Like these are straw man arguments, but this is a lot of what you see happening. Do I think they'll ever have a trans lead in a major? Oh yeah, I think definitely that'll happen in the future for sure. If it doesn't happen now, it'll happen eventually. I don't know if you guys saw Laith Ashley, who is like a very stunningly attractive trans man, was in what's that called? Taylor Swift's music video. Like he was like the love interest in her music video. So I would say like that's a pretty good display of trans men in the media. Thirst. I think it's great. Like honestly, it's like someone was like, "Oh no, they're objectifying trans men." I was like, honestly, cis men get objectified too. So we're just on the same level now. You know what I mean? And I hope so too. I hope that one day we'll have protected rights for everyone. I don't know. Our country is very religious, and so I'm not sure. I hope so. I just don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think I'm gonna call it a day, guys. Feeling a little bit tired, but for sure, Dream Boy 324, please reach out to me specifically. I'm specifically interested in talking to you because I want to talk to you about cult stuff, the internet cult you were in. Just chat real quick on Instagram. So if you could reach out to me, that'd be really awesome at Bad Magic. And anybody else who's interested in chatting with me, I love to talk about random stuff and have discussions about these things. So I'm totally here to chat. The other thing is I've been liking to talk about I have a Black trans support group Discord server as well. So if you're Black and trans and you want a community, just reach out to me on Instagram and I'll give you the Discord link, just because I want to keep it private. So I like for people to reach out to me privately so far. So right now, maybe I'll open it up to kind of more whoever wants to join, but right now I just want to keep it tiny just to keep it safer. And I would like to also do a Discord server for like the community as a whole, so we can just like have conversations about like gender and religion and spirituality and like all of this stuff, because I feel like, I don't know, I want to talk more about this stuff, so I hope that there are other people too. And if people are interested in like helping me with that and like know a lot about Discord, reach out to me as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll pop this banner up if anyone is interested in helping me or supporting me on the channel. You can support the channel on buymeacoffee.com/mavmagic. Also, all of the places where you can find me and follow me are down below. Also, make sure you, like I said, definitely, like for the 5th time, don't be shy to like reach out and have conversations with me. I really think that it's really important to have these conversations. I know that I feel kind of isolated in my struggles with this stuff. I feel like there aren't a ton of people who are talking about this stuff online. So maybe I don't know the right places to go. So if you guys know other spaces where you've been finding support around cult stuff, let me know how this stuff is doing. So, all right, guys. It was great to vibe with you. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I have my list of new age stuff. We'll probably do that. Maybe I'll talk about trans stuff next week. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Peace out, my friends.